Episode 210 and the start of a new week here on Inside the Game. Welcome in, everybody. Nate Wangler. Wow, that is loud today. Goodness gracious. And you had that one cranked up.
No, I
Goodness.
didn't.
Good morning.
Everything is cranked up.
Ooh, there we go. All right.
Yeah,
It's a little bit easier on the ears.
Everything's cranked up on the Roadcaster today. Everything. I checked. I went to give myself a mic check because the studio kind of got rearranged for the people who don't know, and I gave myself a mic check, and my whole dial, first off, my whole thing here was pushed all the way up, and then my dial to just adjust the sound that I can hear was turned all the way up. So I was deaf for 30 seconds there. Everything on. I don't know if Nathan was just joking around here, but I didn't even realize everything's turned all the way up.
Yeah. I think Nathan may have been just trolling. I think he might have plotted because I think he knows.
Nate,
I'm
not
that
even kidding.
What we got going on.
I just looked at dials 2, 3, and 4 over here, to adjust the sound for people. It's all the way up. Wow, I didn't think of that.
Well, hey, I mean, it's effective. I will say, if you play an extremely loud noise in the middle of a show, you're going to catch people's attention. It's the same reason why coming back from break, we let that music play for a little bit longer, especially on the radio, because people are going to start looking around being like, what the heck is going on? I'm listening to music. I didn't think I was listening to music today. Where's the sports? Where's the, so I just say Nathan might be onto something. That might be.
He cranked it up all right.
That's funny. But welcome back at episode 210 of Inside the Game. It is a snowy nightmare in the state of Michigan. Ryan saying it was coming down over there the next few days. We're going to look more like Buffalo. Well, we're going to look more like Buffalo, New York. At least on the west side we are. I mean, my car is buried. I literally can't see it. And so we're going to touch a little bit more on that coming up. Our question of the day today. But Ryan, how did everything go over the weekend? I know that obviously you and I were watching the NFL playoffs closely. We got a lot of other things to talk on. I'll preview that here in a moment. But what were you watching most closely over the weekend as we get ready to kick off another week of Inside the Game?
I'll tell you, to be honest, I wasn't really looking at well, I watched the NFL playoffs, don't get me wrong, but that was not on my number one agenda. My number one agenda actually was the Arsenal game because Man City lost earlier in the day. They could have gone 9 points clear. They didn't. They tied, which is a horrible performance, so they only went up 7. Then I forgot Aston Villa, if they win, the lead would be cut down to 4. But then they lost, so the lead's still 7 on second and third place. So, even when Arsenal's sucking, they're somehow gaining they're still increasing their lead, which makes no sense to me at all. That's what I was really looking forward to the whole weekend. That's all I was looking at. And, it was poor performance from Arsenal, but they somehow kept going. Also, NBA was in London. Franz Wagner, Michigan guy. I was wearing an Arsenal jersey to the game, so I thought that was pretty cool as well. But, I forgot the NBA in London was going on. See, we talked about that with the NFL. The NBA makes a little bit more sense because it's a more international game. It's the second most international sport. Second most international league, I guess you could say it, out of all the different European soccer leagues, any soccer league really, for that matter.
Yeah.
That makes a little bit more sense, especially when there's 82. That makes a little bit more sense, but the NFL shouldn't even do it at all. But the NBA makes much more sense to play some overseas games.
It's interesting when you talk about the NFL because obviously the viewing popularity for people who live in these other countries is huge. They still watch the games, they watch the Super Bowl. They're invested in the playoffs. I've always talked about the irony of how do they pick a team over there, especially if there's no sort of connection at all to the United States. What leads to you picking one team over the other? Maybe colors or mascot. I have no idea. Maybe
it's the
location.
Same conversation as why us here would root for a European soccer team. The same thing.
Exactly. But I feel like you have don't you have some sort of 3 degrees of separation between you and Arsenal? Isn't there some sort of distant connection there,
No,
like
I mean,
ownership or something?
the only reason I became a fan was because the jersey my mom picked out at the Canton Cup in like 2011.
Ah,
Uh,
okay.
it was Michigan colors, and like that jersey at the time that they wore was like almost identical to Maize and Blue, and the
Okay.
logo obviously has a cannon on it. My dad still works in defense, so he thought
Well,
that
was
was sweet.
Arsenal the team that played at the Big House?
No, Arsenal's never played the Big House. Real Madrid, Man United have,
Oh, okay.
and
All right.
Liverpool
Okay.
has, but I forgot who Liverpool played. But Liverpool's been
Interesting.
there. I was actually at the Real Madrid Man United game. But
Mhm.
no, my only other connections are with Real Sociedad. And that is because that's through my dad's work. But that's and
Yeah.
SD Huesca. So there's only the Spanish clubs I have a connection to. Which, by the way,
Yeah.
Real Sociedad, who of course is managed by an American, beat Barcelona yesterday 2-1. So I thought that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Well, and when you talk about the NFL and expanding its reach overseas, like there are professional leagues that are popping up in different countries now. American football, like they play pro ball in Japan. Like China has a league. Mexico has a league, but it's not. They're really far behind in terms of being able to develop it to the point to where it could even come close in terms of popularity compared to soccer or baseball or basketball in a lot of these places.
Michigan legend Devin Gardner played in the Japan League.
Yeah. Well, and even I think of Canada too. Canada, the sport of football is really popular, but you can just tell when they come to play American teams that they're
there.
Yeah, and Theo Johnson, tight end for, I don't know if he's with the Giants anymore. I'm not sure who he's with, but
really?
He's a Canadian kid. Yeah. So, there's a lot of great individual players that come out of there, but like when you watch them play, it's like I feel like this playbook was like out of Madden. I feel like someone just played Madden the other night and pulled a couple of plays out and decided to come run it against us. So it's like the game has not gotten to that point in other places. They are playing football in other places, but it's just not. Yeah, it's
Isn't the Canadian League the one with the end zone, like the field goal post is in the end zone? That's weird.
It's 3 yards, off the back line of the end zone, which is like for me, like it's more of like a safety concern. Like, wouldn't that strike you as like a safety concern having the freaking uprights in the middle of the end zone? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways, moving on. Episode 210 of Inside the Game. We got a lot in our soccer portion that we're going to talk about today. Sky Sports Box. So something that you mentioned on our sheet here today. It's an interesting question. Would you watch a game in the Sky Sports Box? I don't know if I would personally. I think I would be a little mentally overwhelmed by that. The USA also books Senegal as one of their ramp-up games to the 2026 World Cup. African powerhouse, we'll talk about that. Also a little AFCON craziness. But let's start with the Sky Sports Box. Just to explain to the people, if they don't know exactly what this is, what we're talking about here.
The Sky Sports Box is this. You don't get. So I just searched up if you actually get paid to watch it. You don't get paid to watch it or anything.
Okay.
So they take 3 fans from each fan base. So far they've done it with two games. Arsenal versus Tottenham, Man City, Man United. So two good rivalries in the Premier League. So they take 3 fans from each side, and they take your phone. Like they don't touch your phone or anything, but you don't have your phone. And you can't actually watch the game live. So you're just sitting in there, and so for the full 90 minutes or so, you are just sitting in a box, and every now and again, they will flash up like a still photo of like an attack that's kind of going on. And you kind of have to decipher, does this eventually lead to a really good scoring chance? Does it result in a save? So some of that stuff flashes up. Potential red cards, like I know the one on Dalot, that was a potential red card. I believe it was Dalot. I don't know exactly which player, Man United player was, but that was shown up. Should have been a red card, was not a red card, but in the box, like the fans all erupted. The Man U fans immediately thought it was a red card. Wasn't a red card in the end. And then at halftime, you're shown the stats without the goals. You're shown like possession, shots on target, all that fun stuff. And then at the full 90 minutes, you're shown the stats once more again. But as this is going on, just scenes are just going on, photos are just going on, and then you give your prediction, and then the Sky Sports team, the Roy Keanes of the world, the Nevilles of the world will then say what the final scoreline was, and then you just react to what it is. So you don't actually know what's going on at all in the game. Like, you know nothing about what's going on. It's like watching the NFL playoffs or a national championship game without actually knowing what's going on until the end.
So I guess I'm confused as to why people would actually want to do something like this. I mean, is it just
Publicity?
the mystery of trying to put it together yourself? I mean, is it what experience are they trying to cultivate? Because it's cool to like try to put the pieces together yourself. Like if I'm watching a game and I don't get to see all the live action, but I just get to kind of like put the pieces together myself. I think that's interesting. I mean, I think that would be something
It's
that,
just content.
especially being secluded. What's that?
It's just content. That's all it is. Because they
Oh,
don't
right.
do it often. It's only for rivalry games.
Yeah.
Or derby games, I should say. My bad. To the European faithful
Yeah, well,
that doesn't like us.
well, and it's interesting because like I do think it's cool for one reason, and one specific reason, and that's that you can't have your phone in the Sky Sports box. Like that's the one thing about me when I watch sports, even especially now. Like everybody's an iPad kid in 2026. Like that's just how life is. Like we're constantly on the phone, and I'm the same exact way. Unless I'm like truly invested in what's like going on, which like for the NFL playoffs, I was obviously for the national championship tonight. I'll be watching that closely, but like there's certain games that I'm not locked in. And I'm locked in on my phone and I'm on social and everything's going on in front of me. So to that degree, it actually being like plugged into what's going on, I think it would be interesting. But no, it's a weird idea. Would I ever do it? I guess just to see what it's all about. I guess I wouldn't be like thrilled to be a part of it, but I mean, if someone was like, "Hey, you want to try this out?" Like, I wouldn't do it for a rivalry, to be honest with you. That I was truly invested in. If anything, I would just want to do it for a random matchup so I can just see what it's all about. But I don't know. Would you watch a game from there?
Not a derby game, no. If it was Arsenal versus another like mid-table club, sure. But I would not do it for a derby game. I would not do it for a Big Six game. I would not do it for anyone that's in the top four, so we're within striking distance of overtaking the league. So no, I would not absolutely do that. Like that just.
So is this are they trying to expand this eventually? Like, are they trying to do this for more people at some point? Is it just like in its like formational stage? Like, that's my biggest question. Like, if we're just trying to figure out like, does this work, and then maybe we can expand it out to everybody else and make this bigger than what it is. But I don't know. I guess I'm a little thrown off by what makes
it's just a cool concept. I think. I think it's also just for content. I think it's also for people to talk about it, to throw it up on social media. I think that's all that it's about. But it's
for a second. For a second, when you mentioned it, I thought you were talking about the stadium in Saudi Arabia that they're trying to build at the top of a skyscraper.
No.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
Oh, for the Sky Stadium.
Sky box.
No.
For the Sky Stadium.
No.
I thought maybe that was the highest point of the Sky Stadium in the Sky box, and I was like, no. And I remember saying that on the podcast, like I would not be the first or the last or anywhere in the middle. I'm not going because I don't like heights, and especially at that height, I don't know how you have that many thousands of people packed into one floor on a building. I mean, that to me seems like a little bit of a health risk. You know what I mean? Like there's some danger involved there. I don't believe that I would ever do that, especially if the roof was open. Also, if a soccer ball goes out of the stadium, good luck to whoever's below because that thing's coming in hot.
Yeah.
So, but would I try it? I don't know. Would I try Sky Sports Box? I think it's interesting just to see what it's all about. But I mean, if I'm watching a game, I want to see everything that goes on in the game. You know, me personally. But moving on, the USA books Senegal for one of their ramp-up games to the 2026 World Cup. We'll talk about this a little bit before we head to break, but there you go. May 31st, Bank of America Stadium. They'll be taking on the African powerhouse in Senegal. And, the list of teams that they're playing leading up to the World Cup is impressive. You got Belgium on March 28th. Obviously, you got Senegal, or you got Portugal just 3 days later after that. You got more matchups after that. They host Germany on June the 6th as their send-off match, and then obviously just recently adding Senegal. So the United States is filling out their pre-World Cup schedule with some world beaters. Now, are we going to see the best of those teams? I don't know. The big question is now, and I know we said this months ago, that Mauricio Pochettino should know the 11 that he has, right? He should absolutely know the 11 that he has. There should be no doubt in his mind. But I don't think that there's really, even at this point, Ryan, I don't think we could put an exclamation point on who our 11 is. I think we have a pretty good idea. We've already talked about projected starting 11s, and that, there might be time this week for us to actually put together our own projected 11. But I think we're getting a better idea. And I got to give at least a little bit of credit to Mauricio Pochettino and crew. They scheduled, again, some squads leading up to the World Cup in order to build up for obviously what that tournament's going to be.
Oh, I thought we were going to break. No, yeah, he's definitely put up some really good teams. I think Germany's in there too. Like, there's a lot of good talent. I mean, these are all World Cup sides. I mean, Senegal's is in the group with France and Norway, and then the other team hasn't been decided yet. But no, it's a really good group for Senegal. They're a top 20 team in the world. It's solid, and I mean, you might as well schedule against teams that you could ultimately see in the end in the World Cup, or at least schedule World Cup caliber teams, and that's exactly what they did. I don't see an issue with it at all. It's going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina for it. And it's going to be a good test once again for the men's national team. I think it's something good. And I don't know if they were waiting until after the AFCON Cup, or maybe they were going to play Morocco instead if they won. But Senegal obviously won the AFCON Cup. Excuse me. Tongue twister there. But they announced it right after. So, no, it's good. The AFCON Cup champs, so it's another good test for them. I mean, it's going to be I'm trying to see if you can compare that team to any of the group stage teams, but I don't think you can in terms of that. But there's a lot of speed, there's a lot of pace out there. It's going to be a fast-paced game, so we could see a handful of goals. But it's going to be also important to see if the U.S. can control play a little bit against a team like this, and a team that wants to run. I feel like I'm talking about basketball here, but a team that wants to get up and run, counterattack, all that fun stuff. But no, Senegal's a really good team. And it's going to be a tough test once again for the USA, and we'll see if they're – again, I feel like these games are just going to be measuring sticks to see if we're legit or not, if we can actually make a run in the World Cup. You think of Germany, you think of Portugal, you think of Belgium, you think of now Senegal, obviously. So it's going to see how – I think these games, these little friendlies, are going to adjust my expectations going into the tournament or not.
Yeah, well, in Mauricio Pochettino's had all the time in the world to think about the 11 that he's going to put out on the field, and so I think, leading up to obviously the break and the holidays and everything, the main talking point in each and every single one of those matchups, even against the Japans and the Australias of the world, is, well, we didn't have our dogs out there, right? We had our C team or our B team. I'm expecting none of that as we go into this section before we hit the World Cup. Now we have to see players step up. Chris Richards being named U.S. Men's National Team Player of the Year. We've seen what he's done for Crystal Palace. What can he now do for the USA on the pitch? We've seen Christian Pulisic. Obviously, he's been more involved as those windows went, but played a lot less minutes. Do we see him in every single match for an extended period of time in order to get him ramped up, physically and mentally to go for the World Cup? There's a lot of players, too, Ryan, who are on the bubble. And we know that they're on the bubble because we've talked about them throughout the course of the last couple of weeks. Brendan Aronson, I think, is one of those players that could certainly make a huge impact. But where does he fit in the plans for the U.S. men's national team? I'm not sure. I think he's better than Diego Luna. And so the list just keeps going for the U.S. men's national team. And there are still questions, but I don't think they're as pressing questions as what they were before. But I think now, kind of like when you get to the end of the preseason in the National Football League, now you got to put your best group out there because they have something to prove and they have something to learn against these sides before we get to the World Cup. But yeah, let's take a quick break here on Inside the Game. We'll be right back. When we come back, we're talking about AFCON a little bit. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to another USA team, not in soccer or basketball. Actually, we're going to talk about the USA women's hockey team. Wanted to mention them, but that'll be coming up next here on Inside the Game. Back live on Inside the Game, episode 210 with Nate Wangler and Ryan Glinsky. Welcome back to everybody joining us. You know the drill. Follow us on social media, National Soccer Network, wherever you find your social, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever they're calling it nowadays, National Soccer Network. And we move along in our first hour of the show here today. Wanted to mention this very quickly. U.S. women's hockey team, undefeated, never trailed. We're always tied at the very least, but never trailed in their way to winning a world championship just a day ago. Ended up beating Canada for that one. And as obviously we build up the Winter Olympics, it's going to be really key for that team to continue to build. And it's interesting because when you look at the USA women's hockey team, you know, women's hockey as well as women's soccer, we're the best in the world. And it's wild to see continue, and it's wild to see just how good our development has become on the hockey side for the women's team. And that rivalry against Canada, you know, it's interesting. Somebody asked me a question once upon a time, you know, if there was a dream matchup you could broadcast. And I had a few answers before that. You know, I was like, Team USA basketball would be great, gold medal game, you know, like a Michigan, Ohio State type thing. But right up there is USA and Canada women's hockey. That would be just a knockdown, drag-out, fun time because those two countries, on the men's side, it's fierce. And I think it's interesting because the style of play has kind of disappeared from the USA and Canada. They used to use physicality to really beat you down. Now the European game is kind of taking over. But over on the women's side, they don't care for each other. So just wanted to say, you know, quick shout out, nice little tag down there at the bottom. But the USA ends up winning that one. Tell you, man, whenever Canada loses in hockey to the United States, it's like the end of the world. It takes them days, if not weeks, to recover from that disappointment. So great job for the USA women's team getting that win.
Yeah, no, I didn't know it was on at all. I was actually looking at some breaking news that we'll have to touch on in the second hour. Sean McDermott out as the Bills head coach, currently fired here this morning.
Wow.
So we'll talk about that this morning. But no, anytime that Canada can lose, anytime a country can lose in the sport that it's created in, well, I don't even know if it was hockey created in Canada. Like hockey was created in Canada.
It was.
Right? Okay.
Yep. Yep.
So anytime a country that loses in a sport that they created is awesome. Like it doesn't matter what it is, whether that's England in soccer or any of the South. Again, I don't even know where soccer originated from. But anytime I feel like the U.S. loses in basketball or baseball or anything like that, people around the world obviously love it. And, like, obviously whenever the U.S. somehow loses in football to whatever country somehow figures out a football team that's good enough to beat us, it is going to be a day that, we will think the world's ending. But no, it's
Yeah.
anytime a country that loses in a sport that they created, that's exactly what my dad's coworkers said, who are from Spain. They're like, anytime we can beat England in the sport that they made, it feels 10 times better. And anytime that Canada can lose in hockey to like in the Four Nations last year, when we beat them in the first game, it was wonderful because it's their own sport. You beat them in their own sport, and especially in their own backyard. So, no, that's amazing. Shout out to the U.S. women's hockey team. Wonder if there was a Miracle on Ice speech, because that just seems to be what Pochettino's obsessed with all of a sudden. So, or do we actually know if he is he just saying that, or does he actually like that? Like, I feel like he's kind of just saying it. I feel like he's just saying it to get the love from everyone.
I mean, the truth is he might just be appealing to an American audience, which in that case, I understand why he would do it. I understand why he would say it, because and me as an American hearing that, I'm like, okay, that's cool. He's not coaching the way that Herb Brooks coached. I'll tell you that much. I mean, literally in the movie, one tryout, and he already knows what his 11 is. We've seen at least, how many games, how many international windows, and we don't know who our 11 is. So I think that's the thing that's a little bit different when we talk about Miracle, is like, obviously Herb Brooks was in the college hockey game for years and years. And a lot of those guys either coached for or coached against. Mauricio Pochettino is obviously a lot more fresh to the American experience, especially when it comes to Major League Soccer players. Now, players playing over in Europe, yeah, sure, different. But no, I think he's trying to appeal to the American audience. And I've loved it, because when I look at Poach, especially when he was going on College Game Day at Ohio State, and getting on ESPN and doing those things, it's very easy, I would think, for a manager for this American soccer team to just kind of exist in their own world. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to get involved in the mainstream. We don't have to get involved in doing all that stuff, because, they don't care about us. I don't think that's the mentality. I think the mentality is to continue to try and put it in front of people, whether that be through commercials, whether that be through what Poach has done leading up to it, which is just getting in front of a mainstream American audience. Even if you just convert one person to come over and watch or check it out, or just care about this national team, that means a lot. And so I like the fact that Poach has put himself in those positions. But let's move on to our final topic here in the soccer portion of our podcast here today. A little AFCON craziness the other day. Ryan, feel free to tell the people.
This happened yesterday in the final, Senegal versus Morocco. And for the people who don't know, this game was quite crazy in terms of all the stuff that has happened in the game, and all the mind games, I guess you could call it. So I'm gonna start. I got 4 different videos here. We're gonna start off. All the volume should be down, so we should be
all right. We'll see.
Be good to go on that end. But no, this is what I'm gonna start with. This is actually the goalie for Senegal, Edouard Mendy, who, man, he has really fallen off the face of the earth after Chelsea. He's the goalkeeper for Senegal, and this right here is Yvan Diouf, the reserve goalkeeper for Senegal. He actually gets dragged out off the field. So the ball boys are all Moroccan here, and they're trying to grab the towel. As you can tell, it's raining outside, raining during the game. So it is there's a goalkeeper towel for the goalkeepers to wipe their gloves, anything like that, wipe the ball if they want. And Morocco, the whole tournament, has decided to take the towel away from every single goalkeeper of the opposing team, whether that's the ball boys, whether that's the some of the staff, even some of the players have actually thrown the towel away into the stands. So that is the first instance of what has happened in this one, of just a crazy sequence of videos that I'm about to show you. But no, that's the first one, and I just think that's crazy in its own own right. But yeah, that is the first one. I forgot to loop.
So petty rivalry stuff, right, is kind of what I'm seeing right now. And I mean, obviously this is a heated matchup in the final. We know what Morocco's been able to do. Obviously, they've had our number, and obviously Senegal is considered an African powerhouse. So you're telling me they were doing that all tournament?
Yeah, I mean, when you also host a tournament, you're
Wow.
gonna try to give yourself an advantage.
Wow. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, a little edge. So okay, all right, petty rivalry stuff.
So
I see it.
So then this is what kind of escalated everything.
Right.
So this is in the 90th, right around the 90th minute. You're gonna see at the bottom of the screen a foul on against the Senegal player. You're gonna see right here, number 4 on Hakimi, right at the bottom. Actually, that merged out too late. We'll rewind it for you. So right there, immediately there's some contact. Is that worthy enough of a foul? That was called a foul because Senegal obviously score a goal here, but it gets called back for a foul. Is that a foul? Hell no, that's not a foul. There is not enough contact to prove me otherwise. That's not a foul. Like, there's no way.
Yep.
Like, that's not enough contact.
Oh, yeah, I mean, clearly he tried to sell it. I mean, you see the dive at the very end there. I think the initial contact wasn't too bad. Maybe he doesn't match up size-wise, but you can certainly stand your ground a lot better than that. And so that's the ending part right there where he kind of dives out, where I tend to think, yeah, you're right, Ryan. I do think that was a dive. But the thing is, I guess it just happened so quickly that, maybe you make that judgment. But no, I mean, I'm with you 100%. I don't think there is contact clearly. But as we know, that these conversations or these decisions are down to referee's discretion. And did he see that out of his peripheral vision? That's my question. Because if you see it out of the periffs, and you don't see it right in front of you, you might be inclined to say, well, that was a lot of contact, so therefore we have to whistle this down and make this decision. But no, from watching that again, no, absolutely not. I don't think. I think it certainly should have counted.
Yeah, Hakimi goes down, and then moments later, they get Morocco gets a PK, and this was the reactions from the Senegal fans. Obviously, having to be held back here by the stadium crew, I guess you could call it, as they are just ticked off as the PK is about to go. Oh, there's a nice little screen recording there, Ryan. But that is just crazy stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, they say it just means more, but like, what a wild reaction. So obviously both of these teams are heading to the World Cup, right?
Yeah.
Morocco and Senegal. So, I mean, I guess, with it being a championship match, it does make sense. But, man, that is so this is in reaction to what you just showed me, or what this was later in the match.
That was the goal was obviously disallowed, and then Morocco, as you can see right there, which I will show you how this PK goes down. That is the reaction of then losing, they get the goal disallowed, and then a PK is awarded. I don't have the video of how that PK was awarded, but that is the reaction.
Absolutely wild. And I feel a little bit for the stadium staff. I mean, man, they didn't make the call. The referee made the call. Why are we going after these people? So I get the passion.
It's from stopping them to get on the field.
Yeah. No, just crazy. But that's I talk about how football means a lot in the South. Yeah, that means a little bit. The non-American football means a little bit more over there. That is a wild reaction. But anyways, you said you got one more clip on this?
Yeah, this would be the PK. So after 13 minutes of the 8 minutes of stoppage time that was awarded, here is 13 in the 100, the 90th plus. Actually, no, that'd be, oh my Lord, that's 9. So 90 plus. What was that? 20 or 23 now? 90th plus 23? Because this is taken in the 113th minute. That's the PK. Like, that might be the worst PK of all time. Yeah. Some people are Brahim Diaz. Some people are saying he missed on purpose based on what's going on. Like, that's just horrible. Like, that is a horrible PK.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, he clearly didn't try to slow down or, like, create any sort of deception. It just looked like he threw up a lollipop. Like, like that's, I don't know if the goaltender just, like, he didn't even have to guess a side. It just went right to him, or at least from what I'm seeing. Like, I don't know if I'll watch it one more time here. I don't know if he's, like, shuffling on the line or shuffles over to his right. Like,
about to go to the
just
right.
barely over to his right. I mean, it's crazy, like just a little bit. So you're right. You think he did it intentionally because of all the chaos that was going on behind him?
I'm not saying I think that. That's just saying what a handful of the soccer elite are saying is that he missed the PK on purpose. Which, again, mind you, this is the 90th plus, what is it, 23? Because of all the chaos that was going on?
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
23
no,
or 13. I can't tell. But
like that's
still,
just,
yeah.
just insane. And
No.
obviously, Senegal go on to win the whole thing. They ended up winning 1-0 as the goal was scored in extra time in the 94th minute by Papa Gueye. So Senegal obviously goes and wins it, but that's just a crazy sequence there. So you have all the stuff that's going off the field, the game within the game that's off the field, but it's still kind of on the field, and then you have it's 0-0 this whole time. Like no goal was scored until extra time, and then you have a questionable goal disallowed that should not have been disallowed. And then you have a PK that's awarded to the team that just got the benefit of the doubt. And then you have the fans all freaking out. And then the scenes in the streets in Senegal's country, which was really cool to see. That's another thing that I like about international play, especially when it comes to the game of soccer, is whenever a team wins, whenever a country wins, the fans go crazy. I don't know if you've ever seen the seconds after Argentina won the World Cup in Buenos Aires. It's unbelievable how quickly they got out of the shops or the pubs or wherever they were watching the game just to get in the streets and just party like that for like 2 days. Like that's just unbelievable and a great thing to see. But no, that's just like. You look at some other tournaments, like you look at the Gold Cup, you look at Copa America, you look at the Euros, you obviously look at the World Cup. That's its own beast. But if we're looking at just a strict continent tournament, there's nothing crazier than AFCON. Like there's nothing crazier with all the stuff that goes on, all the stuff in the stands with the fans and all the players and all the like little mind games going on. There's nothing crazier, and it's just the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, and it's funny because you look at how many security guards do you see at like an NFL game? Like, there's quite a bit. There's a good group of them on the field. But do you see an entire colony of security guards that are hired for a match quite like they are in something like this?
You only see a couple with college, and then in the NFL, the NFL you only see with Sirianni, which I find hilarious. But no other coach in the NFL gets like a little convoy except Sirianni. But college, every single game because of I think it's just simply because of the field storm. I think that's the only reason. Because NFL, you don't get that, obviously.
Well, and you don't get the reaction from fans, at least now in the United States, like we just saw in that video that you just showed me. Like you can bring up examples, like last year, I think Tennessee students got in trouble for throwing beer cans on the field. Obviously, you had the game. Well, yeah.
Oh, that was I know what you're talking about. That was Georgia, Texas. They overturned a pick or something because there was like a bad call and they threw all this stuff on the field and I don't even know how they did that. But yeah, that was crazy.
Yep. Absolutely wild. Well, and obviously you got, if you want to go way back, I think it was in the 70s. Like Browns fans got in trouble for throwing beer cans onto the field, like they couldn't continue the game. Like there have been examples of that, like isolated examples of like certain fan bases in the United States that have absolutely made like crazy reaction to something that happened on the field, and we've seen it before, but never quite to this Bottlegate. There you go.
Bottlegate, 2001.
Wild, absolutely wild.
And
then obviously when it.
Sorry, continue.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
The best part is since there was still like 30 seconds left on the clock, and even though everybody, like all the players left, the NFL still made them come out and finish the last like 30 or 40 seconds. So all you see is like people you've never seen play football, like third stringers, fourth stringers, like special teams players only come out for the like. It was crazy. Like I've never. Oh, also we can't forget about what was it, 50-cent beer night with the Cleveland Indians and all the fans because they were so drunk just running on the field.
Why is it that Cleveland continues to land on this list everywhere we look? Yeah,
it's Ohio, so it's like it's not like people. Again, I said it in Nate's video with the whole like Detroit thing, like don't disrespect. Obviously, that you take that anywhere you go, like any place. So you don't judge a book by its cover unless you obviously been there and experienced it. But we did that with Detroit, and I commented myself. I was like, yeah, Detroit's a really cool place. The only place that's actually trash is Ohio. This whole state of Ohio, which I think anyone can agree with.
Yep. Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, it's not. There's just not. If you go to the cities, I mean, that's one thing. Like, you might find something interesting. But outside of that, Ohio, well, I will say northern Ohio is actually pretty cool, driving through northern Ohio. But anyways, all of that to be said is you don't normally see this from American fan bases. The most visceral reaction that I can remember seeing from an American fan base was Malice at the Palace. Like, that's it. In terms of, like, swarming and, like, fighting and trying to overtake the court, like, that is the only time really in the history of my American sporting experience where I'm like, this is getting out of hand. It just seems like another Tuesday in AFCON. It just seems like another Tuesday in some of these European leagues. Like, that's just how these people are built. Like literally people people die at these games, and it's freaking crazy to me. Like, when they say it's life and death, they're serious. Like, it is life and death in a lot of these places, and no, just absolutely wild to me. But is it passion or is it like mental illness? I can't tell because it seems like somewhere in the middle.
I would say it's in the middle. I'm actually watching a video here of the Senegal fans going, like, just making some interesting gestures to Hakimi and the whole Moroccan team, like right on the end line here. And it's just there's nothing in American sports that even come close to this. Like, there's nothing. Like, these soccer fans, obviously outside of the United States, are just crazy. To your point, is it passion or mental illness? I would say a majority is passion. Is there some? I wouldn't say a mental illness, but like there's definitely some sort of, like, I don't know. It's like SEC fans on steroids times it by like 100. Like it's just crazy to me.
What I love though is that supporters in the supporter sections oftentimes put pressure on owners to make certain decisions. Like, I don't really know a fan base in the United States that has any sort of control whatsoever over what the owners do. Like, they're not going to stop coming to games. They're not going to stop buying the uniforms. They're not going to stop supporting. I think about the Lions when they were 0-16. Like, our big idea was, hey, don't go to the games. Don't buy their stuff. Force them to sell the franchise. Did anybody do that? No, absolutely they didn't. But you look at European football, and specifically in Italy, and I've seen a lot of this, like, the supporter sections, like, call the shots, which is just crazy to me. Like, I feel like they have more power. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true. But I feel like it's bigger than maybe just Italy. But that's the thing that I think is really cool about, like, especially European soccer is, like, the actual supporter sections, like, kind of have say. Like, they're going to put pressure on you. They're going to really, like, get up in you if you're not doing what they think that you should be doing. So, I don't know. It's just one of those unique things about European football for sure.
Yeah, no, but it's insane.
Second hour of Inside the Game coming up next. We're going to talk a little bit about our NFL playoff reactions. I know we said that the party was going to come to an end for the Bears, and it did. It come to an end for the Bears. Caleb Williams, 3 interceptions in that game. Rams able to pull it off in overtime. We're also going to be talking about, does watching the NFL playoffs make you miss the Lions being in the playoffs? I certainly feel like me personally, I have not been nearly as invested in the playoffs, but obviously have to because of the show that we do. But what is the number one thing they need to do in order to get back to that point? We'll also talk a little bit about the national championship coming up tonight, Miami and Indiana, our predictions on how that one will go down. All that and more coming up next here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics,
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
whether it's a championship win or a legendary play.
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
And start watching today. Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics,
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
whether it's a championship win or a legendary play.
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
And start watching today.
Welcome back on Inside the Game. Nate Wangler alongside Ryan Glinsky here on this Monday as we get ready to start off a new week. Wanted to work this in really quickly. Happy Martin Luther King Day here on the National Soccer Network. Obviously we know the impact that MLK had on our society. And, really that I Have a Dream speech is, I think it's regarded as one of the best ever. And I think that, obviously his delivery
speech.
I would. Yeah, 100% I would.
Okay.
But, this is it's an important day. It's an important day to keep in mind. I think it's something that, we're continually striving towards, accepting people that maybe don't look like us, that we didn't grow up around, and just keeping an open mind when it comes to diversity and just being one. This is the melting pot, but I think it's always important to recognize the impact that he made, and that his words continue to echo throughout our country. And he's someone whose legacy that we have to continue to carry forward. So happy MLK Day to everybody watching here on Inside the Game. Yeah. But moving on to what we got here in our second hour here today, NFL playoff reactions. Ryan, I'll just open the floor to you. Initial impressions from what you saw over the weekend and everything that happened in the NFL playoffs.
Crazy craziness is all I would have to say to all of this. You think of the Bills-Broncos games. Was that a catch? Was that an interception? Why? How was it not even reviewed? I don't know. To me, I think it was a catch based on him being down first. And then the second game, which was the Seahawks-Niners, and opening play, the opening kickoff gets taken back to the crib, and then you have the kicker trying to slide tackle Shaheed. Didn't even win the ball at all. There was that. And then it was just complete BTA from there. And then you go to the Texans and Patriots game, which was horrible. That football game sucked. Like, it was just C.J. Stroud sucking. It was just Drake May sucking. Everyone sucked. And then you go to the Rams-Bears game, which sucked for a while. And then all of a sudden, just some craziness happened towards the end of the game. I said before Caleb Williams even threw the football, based on what was going on, I said he's going to make some BS throw that's going to end up in a touchdown. And it looked like Milroe versus Auburn back in 2023. But no, it was overall crazy stuff. We've already seen a couple of domino effects after Sean McDermott gone from the Bills. Then you already think, who's going to take the Bills job? Who's going to hire Sean McDermott? Like, that's just, does he go to the Ravens potentially? That's an interesting one. Because Sean McDermott's a good coach. He's gotten the Bills to
many
playoffs with Josh Allen. And resurrected that whole franchise, really. And overall, just all the crazy stuff that's gone on. But no, you teased it earlier. Yes, it does make me miss the Lions. And makes me, hopefully they can get back next year.
Yeah. Well, a couple key takeaways for me. I mean, I think the Bears obviously they've found their franchise guy. As much as I don't like Caleb Williams, and obviously he threw 3 picks in that game, I think they've found their franchise guy. And I think the combination between him and obviously what Ben Johnson has to offer, being the best offensive mind in the National Football League, the Bears are set for the future. And I had a separate conversation with a buddy yesterday after that game concluded, and he's like, obviously I'm bummed about it, but this is the start of something new in Chicago. And that's the scariest part when we talk about, like, what do the Lions need to do to get back into the fight? What do the Lions need to do to get back into the conversation? It's only going to get harder now because the Packers are getting better. The Bears are obviously going to be a lot better. The Vikings, I mean, it's all about consistent quarterback play when you talk about Minnesota, right? Can JJ stay on the field consistently enough to actually make a difference? But that division just continues to get better and better. And that's the hardest thing about, how do the Lions get back into it? But I think Caleb Williams is certainly, he's their future, not future. He is their franchise quarterback, and obviously the last play, that's more luck than anything, man. I mean, I watched that play back again. Guy got lost in coverage, caught it in the back of the end zone. I don't really think that was something that, like you said, a ridiculous throw that should not have been caught. But, truth is that it was caught. But, obviously making a bad decision at the worst time at the very end there and just, kind of ending their last overtime drive with an interception that obviously ended up working out in favor of the Rams. And it's funny because more things change, the more they stay the same. Matt Stafford handling the Bears, gotta love it. But, yeah, I mean, that was a big takeaway for me. The other big takeaway for me, too, is that C.J. Stroud has just choked away playoff opportunity. His finish to the season was bad, really bad.
Carried.
Interceptions in bulk. I almost thought when you got to halftime of that game, I'm like, you're almost better suited to just send David Mills out there to back up CJ Stroud. Because, I just, at this point, like, Ohio State quarterback sucks in cold weather again. I thought you said cold weather doesn't play at him.
Oh, he wasn't feeling good all of a sudden. Yeah.
Oh, man. But, I think that's, when I look at CJ Stroud, he's been good throughout the course of the year, but the way he finished the year was bad. So we're going to have to figure out exactly what to do with him. I will say the rubber match of a division rivalry to determine who goes to the Super Bowl will be fun. Seahawks and the Rams, who split their season series. So it'll be great to see them meet up again. So I think between college and the NFL this year, it has been a great playoff stretch. I will say the Rams defense also carried. And then the Patriots run game was really good too. It had 105 yards in their game. Just average just 3.3 per rush, but I think Mike Vrabel has. It's crazy to see what he's done in such a short amount of time with a franchise that really has kind of been irrelevant since Brady left. So yeah, crazy.
I just think the Super Bowl is the NFC Championship game. Like, I think the AFC sucks now. I think now with Bo Nix being out, that plays a big factor. Jarrett Stidham, is he the guy all of a sudden? I mean, the Broncos defense is good, don't get me wrong. The Patriots defense is good, don't get me wrong. But offensively, dude, they've been horrible in the playoffs so far with Drake May. Like, they have really struggled, and I think he's going to struggle again with the Broncos because it's a very good defense. And then the Broncos, which again, the whole hour there of that should have been a pick, should not have been a pick. Prater kicking the field goal to tie things up. Bo Nix having that amazing touchdown throw, and then all of a sudden comes out that his ankle's busted up and his foot is busted up and he can't play and he's out the remainder of the playoffs. So that whole sequence was crazy. But I honestly think that this is whoever wins the NFC Championship game is winning it all. And because I don't trust the offenses on the other side for the Broncos or the Patriots. Like, look, I didn't trust Sam Darnold in a playoff game, and obviously the stuff that came out right before the playoff game where he hasn't thrown a football in 3 days, which, by the way, I took his under on throwing the football passing yards. Guess who made himself a quick little $20.
Brilliant.
But no, there was that. But the run game was so good with Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, and then the Seahawks defense is so good. And then you look at the Rams side, even if they were to somehow win, Stafford, Nakua, all those guys, like Kyron, Corum, like they've got some dogs on the offense side of the football. Defensively, I think they're still pretty solid. So I think the winner of the NFC Championship game, look, the Super Bowl is this weekend, NFC Championship game, so you better watch it then. We're not going to have all the sidebars of which celebrities there or not, who's doing the halftime performance, can you even understand the halftime performance, all that. We're not going to have the commercials, so that's going to be pure American football in the NFC Championship game. That's the Super Bowl right there. It's a divisional rivalry. Seattle's going to be bumping, which, by the way, this whole playoff now, the title game, just gives me 2015, 2014, 2013 vibes. We have the Seahawks, and we got Seattle's 12th man rocking again. We've got the Broncos hosting an AFC title game, against the Patriots. Like, this is full 2013, 2014-ish type of vibes. Like, this is what we got going on. It's Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. We got Russell Wilson on the other side. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it's giving those vibes for sure. But I think if I had to pick right now, I think Seattle's winning it all. Like, if I had to look at it right now, I think Seattle wins it all.
Well, as much as I love and respect Russ, and he's always been one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL, the reason why Seattle was so good for all those years, and we all know it, was because of their defense, was because of the Legion of Boom and that secondary. And Marshawn Lynch, but they struck fear into teams' hearts. I mean, it's just the defense and a run game. If you have both of those combined, you're gonna make an impact, and that's exactly what the Seahawks have done. So that's the thing that I feel like when I've watched this playoffs has kind of blasted me back the most. Is you're right, watching that defense operate that they operate, and that's when you talk about the NFL playoffs and when you talk about getting deep into the season and winning championship games, right? The old moniker of like defense wins championships is so completely true because. Honestly, and you look back at any Super Bowl champion, look at any of their defenses. Like, they're all world-class, and you need a world-class defense in order to win a Super Bowl. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons why Brady has as many rings as he does.
Do you think defense wins championships? Have you ever heard that before?
I think sometimes, maybe a few times. Yeah, a few times. Once upon a time. But no, that's the thing that really blasts me back the most is watching that Seahawks D go to work. So I'm with you, man. I think Seattle's gonna win that game. LA struggled at times in the snow and in the cold against Chicago, but I just do think I know that they split during the regular season, but I think the Seahawks are just on a different level right now. So I would have to agree with you that that's probably gonna end up. They're probably going to be the ones that end up going on to win the Super Bowl. So that would be my guess on that. What's your prediction on the other side of the coin?
Dude, I don't even know. It's a toss up at this point. Like I generally have no idea because I don't know about Jarrett Stidham at this point. I don't know what he's going to be able to do, and I mean I don't even know the last time he started a football game. And then it's an AFC title game. So it's at home. Yeah. Drake May has sucked both games. I don't know. I just feel like this is two mid teams at the moment right now, and then you lose your starting quarterback for the rest of the year or rest of the playoffs. That's gonna struggle. If I had to pick one, I guess the Patriots. I guess in a really tight one. Can I also say this too? I'm gonna be this is gonna be a really annoying bit, and we've already heard it the last couple of days. Every single time there's a questionable 50-50 ball, it's going to be, well, Buffalo fans look away. Well, Buffalo, this happened with Buffalo. Like, can we just not say that the rest of the NFL playoffs? Like, Buffalo fans look away. Buffalo fans this. Buffalo fans, like, this Buffalo fans are going to be upset about this call. Like, just say it's a 50-50 ball and don't even bring up Buffalo. Like, it's going to be so annoying the rest of, like, until the Super Bowl ends. It's going to be a very annoying bit that's going to happen in all of the media. It's going to happen in every single football game that's called up until the Super Bowl, which, again, it could be even mentioned here tonight in the national championship game for all we know. But no, it's going to be really annoying, and I just hope for all the people that are going to be watching NFL football or any sort of football the remainder of the year, this is going to be something that's going to be annoying, and you're going to hear it time and time again.
There are very few things that like I don't envy, and one of those things is being a Bills fan. I just don't. I mean, that organization is just, I swear, is just cursed. Like, that has to be the most painful experience year in and year out watching that team do what they do, get to the point that they do. And then this year, you're thinking, because Pat Mahomes isn't in the mix, right? So this is their opportunity to go out and win it. Again, you're doing it against the Broncos team that has been on and off, and their offensive line, we've already talked about some of the issues that they've had. But, and then you look at the reactions to what was going on. Dan Orlovsky talked about it should have been called a catch. Richard Sherman weighed in and said it should have been called a catch. I mean, I'm not going to put everything, and I hate when people put everything on referees, but sometimes it's rightfully so. You can put something on the shoulder of referees. And when I looked at this play specifically, and again, I'm just kind of watching it right in front of me, is because I know that we would obviously bring it up here today. It should have been called a catch. And this is what it is if you live in Buffalo. And I feel really bad for those people too, because they're dealing with just as much, if not more snow than we are. And now they don't have anything to look forward to until the summer. Like, unless they're like, big U of Buffalo fans.
Playoff mix.
Oh, they are? All right. Okay. Fair enough. Hey, man, you're the one who doesn't necessarily want to mention hockey sometimes. You're like, oh, it's hockey, whatever.
Well, the Red Wings. We talked about that. When do we have the discussion that they're legit?
Yeah. Red Wings are an absolute wagon. But no, like I said, it just must be absolute torture to be a fan of the Buffalo Bills.
What do you think is? Yeah, the Sabres are currently the 8th seed in the East. But what would you?
Right.
Who would you say is more cursed? The Lions or the Bills?
Probably the Lions.
Lions.
But then again, so let me ask you this. Would you rather be so bad that you never have a chance at going to the Super Bowl, or would you rather get to near the Super Bowl or in the Super Bowl and just lose every time? Like, find a new creative way to lose. Because I want to be on either side of the spectrum, right? I either want to be so bad that I'm not even in the conversation because then I don't have to worry or think about it, or I want to be getting there all the time and losing out. I don't want to be a 500 team in the middle. Like, I imagine, like, cheering for, like, a Mike Tomlin, like, Steelers team is probably just as infuriating because you're going to finish 500 or a game above 500. You're probably going to make the playoffs, and then you're going to flame out quickly, and then that's that. So what side of the spectrum would you prefer to be on?
I would rather see. The thing is, but you've been to a Super Bowl, never experienced that.
Many,
but you lose in heartbreaking fashion all the time.
Yes, lost 5 straight years in the Super Bowl.
4.
That is 4. My bad.
But the thing is, they got blown out a lot in those Super Bowls. The Cowboys killed them a handful of times. But then you think of the kick. I think, honestly, I'd rather just not even be in the conversation. Like, I'd rather just not live with that horror and just do something else with my life. Like, at that point, because think about this. Let's think of it in perspective here. Ticket prices are cheap. Not everybody wants to go if your team sucks. Everything around in terms of, like, if you want to go to a bar or a restaurant has to be cheaper because no one's there to really watch the product. Jerseys are cheaper. Like, everything's just cheaper if the team sucks. And then you do have this hope every year that a player in college football can turn your whole franchise around, and they always just end up sucking. But you have that for a couple months of you just watching mock draft. I'd rather just stare at mock drafts than watch my team just losing. Like, think about it. Are you still a little bit scarred from 2016 JT was short? Like, are you still a little bit scarred? A little bit.
A little bit.
Because of thinking about what happened, you ultimately you get that monkey off the back. You ultimately will win the Big Ten championship. You get that monkey off the back. You go to the playoff. You get that monkey off the back early. But does this still scar you? Kindle Vildor just off the face mask into the hands of, I think, Ayuk inside the 5. Like, does that still haunt you to that 17 point or whatever it was, 20 points or whatever comeback within just 15 minutes from the Niners? Like, does that still haunt you a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, exactly. I would much rather just sit in oblivion, suck forever, maybe make the playoffs every now and again, maybe sit around 500, but that whole little, like, sitting around 500 is like, oh, my God, like, we're winning some football games. So, then sitting in 500 just is a treat. It's not like the Steelers where you're in oblivion. Or or not oblivion, you're just pissed off the whole time. So I'd rather just sit in oblivion and just suck forever.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to deal with bandwagoners.
Exactly.
That's the big part.
And it's like you go to a different city and you run into a different fan base and they're like, who do you root for? The Lions. Ultimately, everybody likes you too because you just suck. Like, if you were to go to a random city, like if you were to Atlanta, for example, the Falcons obviously play there. You go to Atlanta 5 years ago, you tell them you're a Lions fan, they're like, wow, like that kind of sucks, man. Like that just
tough.
Then you go to like Atlanta now or like a Baltimore now, and you tell them you're a Lions fan, they're like, oh, I bet you're just bandwagon. I bet you just bandwagon the team because they're good all of a sudden. Like, there's differences. And I would rather just sit in purgatory for the remainder of time, maybe make up the playoffs once every decade, than just have my heart broken because also at the same time, we do have the Red Wings, we do have the Pistons, and we do have the Tigers. And we have Michigan football, Michigan State football, Michigan State basketball, Michigan basketball. And Detroit City FC, who makes runs in the playoffs every now and again. So, they're still positive.
Got other options.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I mean, back
Buffalo, though, they only have the Sabres and the Bills. So,
yeah.
Unless like
they better
Yankees
hope they're
going
to
fan.
win a Stanley Cup. But to those who are curious about the Bills' curse, according to legend, a dead president is actually to blame for the Bills' lack of postseason success. As in 1901, sitting president William McKinley was shot and killed in Buffalo, New York, which the city believes is the reason they have never won a major professional sports championship. So that means the Sabres or the Bills have never won a championship in their respective sports. I think when we talk about curses, I think the Billy Goat curse when it comes to Chicago and the Cubs, I think that was an interesting one, mostly because the guy said that I'm going to curse your entire franchise for like X amount of years, like a whole 100 years, you're not going to win a World Series.
True.
Well, that turned out to be true, 100 plus years. But in Buffalo, is that what it is? Is that the only potential curse? There's got to be something a little bit more weird or like otherworldly that points towards a more convincing curse than just a president was killed. I mean, that's bad. I'm not going to say that isn't bad, but now I'm just curious, like, what do people think the Bills curse is. Like, that can't be the only possible one that there is.
Yeah, that's somehow if this podcast or social media clip gets out to the Buffalo people, because that's the only reason we would know. Like, obviously for the Lions, you think of Bobby Lane and him when he got traded and saying, like, you guys won't win for 50 years, and the 50 years after he gets traded, the team goes 0-16, first time ever. And then you have Peyton Manning and who was the other guy that broke the that sat there in the end zone of Ford Fields with the whiskey in the tub. Who was it? Speaking
of that, they filmed another episode in 2025.
Jeff Daniels. Okay, gotcha.
Jeff Daniels. Yep.
Thank you, John.
Pride. But they filmed another one with Peyton Manning and Josh Allen this year. They threw a barrel of Buffalo sports heartbreak over Niagara Falls. Clearly that didn't solve the curse, and clearly he didn't solve the playoff curse. Sure, getting back to the playoffs and winning a game, but clearly did not solve the Super Bowl woes. But there's a few other ones on here that I think are interesting. So there's an O.J. Simpson one. Some jokingly blame.
What list you got? What type of list you got?
Of different curses for the Bills.
For the Bills?
What they are for the Bills. What they are surmising is keeping them from winning a Super Bowl. And so O.J. Simpson is on there. I'm seeing that one. Some jokingly blame O.J. Simpson, former Bills star, for the team's misfortune after his football legal troubles. I mean, I would tend to agree with that. Obviously, we just talked about President McKinley. There was the wide right era. Most prominent source of perceived curse actually stems from something that happened on the field. Bills, obviously, you talked about, lost 4 straight Super Bowls in a row in the early 90s, all culminating in Scott Norwood's missed field goal in the 4th and final loss in the Super Bowl. Probably could be it. It was a bad miss. Also, I don't envy kickers. That seems like the worst job in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Haunted stadium site, which was another one that the Cubs had for a while because they built the stadium where an old Catholic school used to be. So, and it was like a burial site. Like, there was a lot of stuff there. Chicago knocked it down, built it. But for the Bills, another theory points to the stadium built near an ancient Wenrose village, a small cemetery. There we go, bringing supernatural elements. So, could it be Native American population that maybe cursed the Buffalo Bills? And then they're actually saying that Peyton's Place, that show that he does, might have also cursed them as well by throwing the barrel over Niagara Falls. They're actually thinking that he might have done it. So I don't know. There's a list of clearly there's not one favorite for the Bills fan base, but there's a look at some of the ones that they're surmising.
So I got a couple pulled up of just of different sports teams. Obviously, this list has the Bobby Lane curse that we just talked about still going on. The Madden curse, obviously, we've seen that.
Yep.
The curse of the Bambino, obviously, that's broken. Billy Goat curse, that's been broken, as you mentioned. But there's a couple interesting ones. This one I've never heard of. The Rocky Colavito curse for the Cleveland Indians. Cleveland fans never forgave the front office for trading Rocky Colavito in 1960. Ever since that departure, they've done nothing but lose over all these years. Many still view this as the reason why the franchise has lost so much over the time. If you heard that in baseball?
No, you're talking about the Guardians or Cleveland?
Yeah, Indians/Guardians.
Yeah. No, I've definitely heard that. I think they have the longest championship drought in American professional sports. Either them or the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know who it is, but
since the 40s.
In terms of length of time in between championships, I think that, at least in baseball, the Guardians do.
This one obviously has to have been broken because they've won 2 World Series. The curse of Coogan's Bluff, the San Francisco Giants. When the Giants left New York in '57, a memorial plaque honoring fallen player Eddie Grant was lost. Despite multiple pennants in San Francisco, the team couldn't win a World Series until a replica plaque was installed in 2006. 3 championships followed in the next 8 years.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. All right.
So, basically, I think that the Lions should put up a statue of Bobby Lane If they haven't already, I don't think they have.
Ooh,
So we should
okay.
put up a statue of Bobby Lane outside Ford Field and just see what happens.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one is hilarious. This happens for a Japan team, the Hanshin Tigers. This is the Colonel Sanders curse. Yes, Colonel Sanders isn't the KFC guy. After winning the 1985 Japan Series, fans threw a Colonel Sanders statue into, I can't pronounce that, some river while celebrating. The Tigers went years without another title, and the statue wasn't recovered until 2009, incomplete. The teams continue to struggle and have kept the curse firmly embedded in Japanese baseball folklore.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Against, you said Korea? South Korea?
Japan.
Oh, okay.
They threw a Colonel Sanders statue into a river, and then they haven't won since.
That's absolutely crazy.
This one might hit home to you, Nate. This one might hit close to home for you. The Curse of 51. Mayo GAA. Mayo's 1951 All-Ireland Gaelic football title was followed by decades of near misses. A legend claims a curse prevents another championship until all members of the winning team have passed away. Despite multiple finals appearances, Mayo remains without a title.
Wow. What does that hit close to home? Because I got red hair on my face? Is that why it hits close to home, Ryan?
Well, it says All-Ireland football team, so.
I'm just messing with you.
So,
no, that's wild. That's another wild one. I like this list. Keep it going.
The Talladega Superstition. Obviously, drivers have long regarded Talladega as one of the most dangerous tracks. Unexplained incidents. Obviously, Dale Earnhardt we know about.
Right.
The Socceroos Shaman Curse. Australia men's national team. All right, let's listen to this. Before a 1969 World Cup qualifier, the Australian squad allegedly hired a shaman? 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 Okay, thank you. John just correcting us today here. Hired a shaman to jinx their opponent. After failing to pay him, the story goes the curse turned in against them. For decades, Australia has struggled to qualify. In 2004, a televised counter ritual was performed, and soon after, the team finally saw success on the world stage. All right, we have Australia in our World Cup group. So this curse is going to continue to go on, right?
Yeah. Well, I hope.
So
or should we curse them ourselves?
I don't know.
I mean, we can pull out. I can get some potions, and we can just curse everybody else.
So
I mean, I'm okay with that.
So what you're saying is we have a cursed team here, like in our World Cup group, that we could potentially get things going.
I believe so, but now we got to curse the rest of them.
Yeah, now
it's just not just enough to curse one. Now we got to curse everybody.
This one just says that the Superdome is cursed. But yeah.
Well, I could see that after Katrina.
Yeah,
I mean, some of the things that went on in there. If you haven't gotten the opportunity to watch Come Hell or High Water, the Katrina documentary on Netflix, it's wild. It's eye-opening. So I can certainly see that. I mean, there were some people that weren't able to obviously survive all that, and they were just kind of packing everybody into that's. Am I thinking Superdome or Superior Dome?
Superdome.
Talking New Orleans, right? Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. I was thinking of getting my stadiums mixed up. But, yeah, I could definitely see that.
Darby County. Yeah, we still got a lot of time to go. We can continue this. Darby County, here's a case that makes you think this curse stuff may not all be, or that is real. When Darby County built their stadium in 1895, they had to move a band of gypsies from the area. The gypsies retaliated by putting a full-on curse that Darby would never win the FA Cup. At first, it was laughed at, but as time went on, Darby has failed to reach that championship, coming up short in the finals 3 times. In 1946, as they took on Charlton Athletic, a team representative went to the clan and begged them to lift the curse. With the score tied 1-1, the ball literally burst apart on the field, and Darby ended up winning the championship 4-1. Makes you wonder.
Wow. Huh. Yeah. Yeah. Does make you think a little bit. I'm loving these ones that aren't. I've never heard these ones before. That's another one of those I've never heard before. Burst. Wow.
I think this is about the Cardinals. The Cardinals curse. 1925. The Pottsville Maroons, situated in Pennsylvania, won the NFL championship in a hard-fought battle with the Chicago Cardinals. However, the Maroons played an authorized game in their state. Commissioner Joseph Carr suspended the game and took the championship away. The people of Pottsville were so irate that they declared a curse upon the Cardinals that would only be lifted when the NFL championship was restored to the red team. Supposedly that jinx has followed the Cardinals from Chicago to St. Louis to Arizona, as the franchise has the longest championship drought of any NFL team and the most losses, that indicates that a long ago mistake could have consequences today. So yeah, a little bit.
The wrong red team. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah. Apparently that's that's a curse.
That happens.
The Black Sox. In 1920, the Chicago White Sox were of a heated pennant chase when the word rocked the baseball world that 8 White Sox players had conspired with gamblers. Oh, so this has been going on for over a decade. With gamblers to throw the 1919 World Series.
Oh, absolutely. Especially before it was legalized.
Some
they didn't. Yeah.
Some might cite that due to bad management, but the stigma of the Black Sox would haunt the South Side for decades before they finally won the World Series in 2005. Many have pointed out to the unique bit of the gap lends a bit more to the curse. You think about Chicago and baseball teams. You think of all these different curses.
It's wild. Let's take a quick step aside, though. We'll talk. We'll touch on the rest of. Couple more. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. Oh, we got a couple more. We'll take a look at those after the break. Let's step aside really quick. We'll be right back here on Inside the Game.
The Flint City Bucks are Michigan's top soccer franchise with 4 national championships, 9 conference titles, and 15 Great Lakes Division titles. They have produced 107 players for Major League Soccer, and they focus on attracting top talent and shaping soccer's future. Michigan Bucks Academy joins NLS Next new competition tier starting in September of 2025. This offers elevated levels of play and flexibility for high school participation. The Academy will provide premier development, high-performance training, and exposure to scouts through regional tournaments and MLS Next events. For more information on tryouts, training programs, and key updates as we prepare for our first season in MLS Next new tier, visit MichiganBucksAcademy.com. The Flint City Bucks are Michigan's top soccer franchise with 4 national championships, 9 conference titles, and 15 Great Lakes Division titles. They have produced 107 players for Major League Soccer, and they focus on attracting top talent and shaping soccer's future. Michigan Bucks Academy joins NLS Next new competition tier starting in September of 2025. This offers elevated levels of play and flexibility for high school participation. The Academy will provide premier development, high-performance training, and exposure to scouts through regional tournaments and MLS Next events. For more information on tryouts, training programs, and key updates as we prepare for our first season in MLS Next new tier, visit MichiganBucksAcademy.com.
Back live and Inside the Game, episode 210 on Nate Wangler alongside Ryan Glinsky. We're talking about some of the top sports curses. Myself, growing up a Cubs fan, I knew a little bit about the Billy Goat. I knew a little bit about the man upstairs and some of those other curses, but Ryan apparently has a few others that he wanted to get to, some Chicago and Philly ones. Two more.
Yeah, just
before we move on to our next topic.
Yeah, just two more real quick. Philadelphia, the Billy Penn curse. So apparently, there was sorry, something just went off the rails for a second. We're good. So apparently there is a gentleman agreement with any city architect in the city of Philadelphia that no building is taller than the City Hall statue of William Penn, the founder of the city. However, in '87, One Liberty Place opened, standing 400 feet higher than City Hall, and afterward, the fates of Philly sports took a downturn. That might seem a little hogwash, except for one thing. In '07, workers at the newly built Comcast Center, the tallest building in Philadelphia, placed a small statue of Penn on the final beam, and the very next year, the Phillies won the World Series.
Wow. Hey, it's hard not to believe in superstitions when things like that happen. And you've brought up a couple of different examples of this happening. All of a sudden, like, you're able to break the curse and, you do something very little that you think is going to help you, and then it leads to a championship. Like, I will never get into people too much about their superstitions because I know they're married to it. And who knows, man? I believe in energies in the atmosphere. Maybe it does play a role. Some positive vibes, if you will. But what's the last one you got on there?
Last one is the Chicago Bears, the Honey Bears curse. So the Bears weren't successful in the 1970s. They had a cheerleader group called the Honey Bears, established in 1978. Virginia McCaskey, who took over the team in '83, was not a fan of them, despite all their popularity. And following before the 1985 season, got rid of them. And obviously, we know what happened with the '85 Bears, and they went on to be arguably the greatest football team of all time. Weird. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't line up. So if you're clutching to your superstitions and you believe that they actually have a bigger impact on the game than what maybe some do, I believe you, man. I believe that there are definitely some superstitions that maybe have an impact. So that's a look at our top sports curses. That wasn't even on the list, but I'm glad we got to dive into that a little bit because I do think it's an interesting conversation. And like I said, it must be just terrible to be a fan of the Buffalo Bills. It really should be. But let's move on to our next topic here today. Got two more topics before we get to our question of the day. To our Michigan people. It's interesting. I always forget, like, we're the National Soccer Network. We talk about the news on the national scale, right? We always talk about what's going on around the country, U.S. men's national team, even international. We'll talk about the Premier League, and obviously we saw the AFCON final, just craziness from the other day. But sometimes we tend to forget that we are a Michigan-based company, that we are in Michigan. And I just posted one video about how people want to shit on Detroit that have never been to Detroit, and now that video is going nuclear. So I do think that these are interesting conversations to talk about, specifically when it comes to the Lions. Watching the playoffs without a minute, I mean, I'm used to it. You grow up a Lions fan, you get used to that. Does it make me miss them being in the playoffs? Absolutely. What it makes me miss is if they had a better second half against San Francisco, we would have had a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Like, it is wild to really think that we were right on the doorstep and just couldn't get it done. I mean, a la the Bills, although we haven't been as relevant for as long as the Buffalo Bills have. But you worked in at the very end of this talking point on our sheet, number one thing they need to do to turn it around, to make it back to the playoffs and then maybe potentially win a Super Bowl. So what says you?
Sorry, I was reading some other curses in terms of the soccer dude. I'm like hooked now. I'll have a couple for tomorrow that are just strictly soccer. Because some of these are.
Well, I'm sure. And with how crazy they are, there's no way that there's no superstitions. Like, there has to be.
That's just nuts. Anyway, for the Lions to get back, look, they need to bolster their line of scrimmages. That's what it's got to be. Like, that front seven sucked this year. Hutchinson. The thing that still grinds my gears about the whole Hutchinson thing is, well, number one, number one, I was upset a lot with a lot of the media in this town specifically. So last week, Hutchinson went on as like you know how like when teams and players get eliminated from the playoffs, they eventually will make like a guest appearance on ESPN. Hutchinson did that.
Yeah.
And one of the questions he was asked was, well, like, what do you think could have ultimately gotten you to the playoffs? And Hutchinson goes, injuries, and I feel like we could have had that. Obviously, that plays a factor, but everyone is talking about, well, the Niners had injuries. The Niners had injuries, this, and this. I go, what do you want the guy to say? Do you want him to say what you – if Hutchinson went out there and said, well, I feel like we could have had an opposite edge rusher with me and Brad. I wish Brad would have gotten that. Well, he says that. He looks like a shitty teammate. He looks bad to the front office.
Right.
Then you look at other guys across from him that will eventually be across from him from here to the end of his career. They'll think, wow, he's going to throw me at the edge under the bus at some point. Well, do you want him to say, well, the front office didn't address Frank Ragnow leaving in our offensive line? You can't, like, generally the only answer Hutchinson could have said was, you know, if we didn't have injuries. Like, that's the only thing that he could have said. Anyway, sorry, I need to get I was really
he's media trained.
Yeah.
No, he's media trained, and I don't think people really grasp that. Like, the dude is trained to say certain things in front of the camera. Now, that's not to say that he doesn't have other frustrations along the lines, but you're not going to say that. You're not going to put your teammates on blast. And I think that's one of the big, more endearing things about Aiden Hutchinson. He's not the type to throw other players under the bus. You know, someone who was picked opposite him in Kayvon Thibodeau, I'm sure I could probably see him saying something like that, Mr. Oregon, in a post-game press conference, but you're not gonna see that out of Aiden Hutchinson. So yeah, man, I mean that's kind of the media right now. But
yeah, sorry.
What's the biggest fix that they need to make in your mind? No, you're right. Say that, you're 100% right.
Me off a lot. I don't know what he's supposed to say. The biggest fix is the line of scrimmage. I mean, I know that's cliche to say. I know it's not a earth-shattering take, but if you give Goff an offensive line and you give him a ground game, he had the worst offensive line since they went 3-13-1, and he still threw for over 4,000 yards and 33 touchdowns. Like, that's impressive. Sure, you could say some of that was, you know, garbage, empty calories, 52 points against the Bears, all this and that, you know, a lot of garbage time. Sure, you could ultimately say that, but they should not have lost twice to the Vikings. They should not have lost twice to the Vikings. If you give him a proper offensive line, they beat the Vikings by 2 scores. That's as simple as it is. They should not have lost to the Vikings twice. The Packers, I don't think they beat them twice. I think they could split. And the Steelers, you give him if they could have stopped the run, they win that game. You give him an offensive line, they beat the Steelers, so they're in the playoffs. But you have got to give Goff time. And when they gave him time against the Rams, he threw for over 300 yards. 300 yards and a couple of touchdowns. So the biggest thing is, again, I know it's a cliche. I know it's not an earth-shattering take. But you've got to retool the lines of scrimmage. And the guy that I want is not going to be here by the time we have to pick out, I think it's like 17, 18, or 19. I forget what the pick we have is. And is the offensive tackle Maua guy, or what I can't pronounce his last name, on Miami. That's who I want. But he's not going to be there because he's had such an impressive college football playoff, and he's a really good tackle, and obviously. But the thing is, Taylor Decker needs to retire, and I think he does. That clears up $14 million for yourself. I think you have to just trade David Montgomery. I know that's kind of off topic there, but I think you do because you can then bolster the offensive line or the defensive line with that money. Because if you don't have the offensive line that they've had in previous years, which was like top 3, David Montgomery makes no sense anymore because you can't run between the tackles. He's just there eating up space, and then he gets mad. And then I just had it. Oh, the guy from the Ravens, the center, Linderbaum. Linderbaum is now a free agent.
Yeah.
The Ravens are not bringing him back. He wants $17, $18 million or so. So I'm taking Taylor Decker, and I'm like, you got to retire, guy. I think he retires regardless. He talked about how he can't even throw a football to his kids. I think that's something that I think the human element isn't always kind of mentioned with athletes especially. And I think that he retires. Linderbaum wants about $20 million. I think you find a way to trade Montgomery to clear something up there, And I'd be like, Linderbaum, here's $20 million. Take it.
Yep.
And at that point, and I'm still going to try to draft a left tackle. If I can draft a left tackle, get Linderbaum in my center, at that point, the offensive line would look like this. Whether you can flop the tackles if you want or not, it's up to you. Sewell on the right, first round draft pick on the left, whether that's the Mawa guy who I don't think gets there, or the 2 tackles out of Utah, who all of a sudden their offensive line coach is at Michigan. Just saying. And then your guard position would then be Glasgow, who would prefer to be a guard, which I like that move so much better that he's a guard. You have Ratledge in the right guard, who hopefully he takes a step, and you have Linderbaum in the center. And I'm looking at this like, are we back? Are we back?
I want you to put the word out there that we're back.
I want you to put the word out there that we're back. If they were to somehow get a Linderbaum draft a left tackle or a tackle in the first round or the second round even, I'm happy with that. And the defensive line, that's its own thing. But if I draft whoever I draft in the first round in terms of position, I am drafting the opposite edge of the line of scrimmage in the second round. That's the rule.
Well, and outside of the line, and that would have been my first answer, right? So you just kind of took all the words out of my mouth.
My bad, sorry.
And you're 100%. Hey, you're good. You made a lot of good points. It's great. Well done. But yeah, the defensive backfield is also devastated and needs to be addressed. That's number 1 and number 2 on the list, right? Kirby Joseph might be done. Brian Branch hopefully recovers. Who knows if he's going to be the same player when he comes back?
He won't start the year.
Terrion Arnold. He won't. You said he won't start the year?
I don't think so, because he hurt it. I feel like a little too late.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly, right. And Terrion Arnold is improving, but
he's hurt a lot.
I think the linebacking core is fine. I wouldn't mess with the linebacking core, me personally. Obviously, I think our wide receiver core is great. We need a tight end back so that we can utilize someone like Isaac TeSlaa more, especially with how much we gave up to get him. But you're right. When it comes down to it, the bottom line is you fix the offensive line, you fix the defensive line, you try to get someone opposite of Hutch, and then more importantly, you fix up your secondary. Because especially in the NFC North, we can't afford to have a secondary that's not up to par when you're going up against Caleb Williams and even Jordan Love the way that he was during certain stretches of this year. And I even think JJ looked really good. He just can't manage to stay healthy and stay on the field. You cannot survive in the NFC North without a healthy and ready-to-roll secondary, and we don't have that. Yeah. And so I think if there's a number 1, number 2, and number 3, that's exactly it. But it starts with the offensive line. And I like your idea as to who and go and get. And from an efficiency rating, it would be hard to find anybody outside of Jared Goff who's been more efficient passing the football over the last 4 or 5 years. Like it is truly, he's one of the more efficient surgical. No, it doesn't. Well, like I said, man, I mean, I know that Detroit is not the only city that does this, but I feel like at times this can be a real scapegoat city. They need their person to kind of point at and be like, you know what, he's the reason why we're here. He's the reason why. No. I think anybody with 2 eyes and an understanding of how the game works knows you can't do anything without an offensive line. Even Jahmyr Gibbs had some of his most inefficient games this year because of that line. And I don't necessarily agree with the idea that David Montgomery is unable to create runs by himself. Like he needs a dominant line to be good. I just think he needs them to be stomachable. And they weren't even that down the final stretch of the year. So I don't know. I'm half and half on whether or not to get rid of David Montgomery. I really am.
I would say this. If you don't go out in free agency and get yourselves a true center, and again, like there's a lot of factors that play into trading David Montgomery. Well, one, is he happy to even be here anymore? Because he's voiced his frustration on social media a couple of times. And two, if you don't address the offensive line the way that it needs to be, that being getting yourself a proper center in free agency. And I mean, I'm not even really sold on drafting one at this point because I feel like all the best linemen are tackles, and that's what you need. And if somehow Taylor Decker returns, then there's no point of keeping Montgomery because it's the same offensive line, but with an improved Tate Ratledge. That's about it. That's the only positive I see out of it because Decker would again decline. Glasgow would decline most likely. Mahogany. Yeah. I don't even know. But if that's the case, then there's no point in keeping David Montgomery, and I'd rather invest that in another defensive player or something. But no, I think ultimately it depends if he wants to be here and if that line's addressed. If that line is addressed the way that, again, I know I'm playing like Madden Dynasty mode here. If the line is addressed the way that I set it to be, you get a Linderbaum and then you draft a tackle that you think can start right away, which I would hope he starts right away. Then you keep Montgomery. But if that's not the case, then I'd be like, Montgomery, you're out. That's just me though, and I'd invest that money elsewhere.
Coming up next, our final segment here on hour 2 of Inside the Game. We're going to talk a little Indiana and Miami national championship on its way tonight. Curt Cignetti 1 win away from doing the unthinkable. Also, on the other side, is the U back? That's the big question. If they win a national title, you could say confidently that they are back, but we'll talk more about that. We'll also get to our question of the day. It is, I would say, winter wonderland, but now that Christmas is past, it's not really a wonderland here in Michigan. This is the threshold of hell, and we'll talk more about that on the other end here on Inside the Game. Back live and Inside the Game, episode 210. Nate Wangler alongside Ryan Glinsky. Final topic here in hour 2 of our show today. Indiana and Miami taking off in the national championship game later on tonight.
Quick. We gained 3 new followers on TikTok since the show has started. Just give them a quick shout out. Tristan McBurry, Rob Schuster, and Scott Brazo. They have just followed us all here on TikTok while the show has gone on. So shout out to you. We're now up to 1,127. We said could we get to 2,000 by the start of the World Cup? I feel like we could definitely get that. So again, continue to we appreciate all the support that you've given us over the last couple of months. And again, continue to hit that follow, subscribe button, like button, whatever you want to do, and get us to 2,000 followers before the World Cup. Also, if you want to comment on the show, we can read it.
We need 3 horns on this one, Ryan, for our 3 followers. Yeah, there we go. Heck yeah. All right. Hey, appreciate you guys. No, I think 2,000 is realistic. I know when you came in, we're like, we should get up to 1,000 before the new year, and we did that. I think we dusted that goal. Yeah, so we are well on our way that direction. Again, appreciate all you guys jumping in. National Soccer Network, wherever you find your social media, go check us out. But Ryan, one of the more, I think, inconceivable national championship matchups tonight. It certainly wasn't one that I ever thought was going to happen. Obviously, we knew Indiana was on the rise. I don't think I truly believed everything Curt Cignetti was saying. I knew that they were going to be a really good team. I thought maybe a Big Ten championship was an outside chance, but they did that. Now they're 1 win away from a natty. On the other side for Miami, I mean, just beating Ohio State to me in a lot of ways seemed like something that was just not supposed to happen. Yeah, and they did so, and now they're back in the national championship, and if they win this one, they really could turn the clocks back and become what they were. Now, I don't think they're ever going to be what they were in the early 2000s. It's just ridiculous to think. I mean, they were the Bama of college football at that point. But what is your prediction on this game? What do you think is going to go down tonight?
So for starters, I'll just say I love the U being back. Like I'm gonna tell you how it is. Like that's so awesome. I've always wanted to see them be in a national championship. I've always wanted to see them in the national spotlight like they are now. Just because of my uncle being a fan and telling me like stats out the year, just throwing stuff out, and then just obviously watching the 30 for 30 documentaries when I was in middle school. Like I just thought it was great. And then again, we're gonna see that today. Like I just think it's awesome the fact that all these NFL stars that played at Miami will eventually all come together one time and just sit on the sideline and talk and just be there and just support their team. So I think that's really cool. Indiana, I don't even think can do that just based on their history. I don't even know if they have an NFL star or anything. Does AJ Barner count? I know he started at Indiana and then went to Michigan.
I guess that counts. Michael Penix? Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. But I would say for my prediction, I'll say this. I think Indiana wins, and I think they win by a couple score. I think they win by 10-14. But I will say this. People think this is going to be a blowout. I don't necessarily believe it's a blowout because of one thing. Miami's offensive line are mountains compared to Indiana's. They average, I think the average offensive lineman for Miami, I believe, is like 6'6", 300 pounds. I think just average if you average it all out. You look at the Indiana offensive line, it's like 6'2", 275 or so. And I feel like Miami is going to be able to move Indiana a little bit. I know people have said, they've dominated the run this whole time. They've done this, and that. Also, the offensive line, have they faced an edge rusher like Ruben Bain Jr. yet? I don't know. And I will say Miami is really good on the offensive line and the defensive line. And I think that they will test Indiana a little bit. And I'm not saying Indiana or Ohio State's line of scrimmage is miles better than Indiana's. But who moved Ohio State's offensive line or moved off Ohio State's defense and offensive line? Miami did. Who was the closest game to Indiana all year? Ohio State. I'm not saying like just because that happened in that game, ultimately this is going to translate. But I think it's going to be closer than people think. And I think Miami is going to be able to move the ball a little bit efficiently. They always dominate the TOP. And I just feel like Miami at this point, I feel like both of these teams, that you think about it, Indiana, improbable, most losingest program in college football history. They finally get to a national championship. They're undefeated. Could be the first 16-0 team of all time. And you think of Miami, a team that should not be there. People don't believe that they should be there at all. They thought Notre Dame should have got in, which, by the way, Marcus Freeman being proud that his captain said, let's not play in the Pop-Tart Bowl. Shame on you, Marcus Freeman. That's why nobody likes you. And I'll say this. I think it's closer, but Mendoza, too many stars, which is crazy for an island of misfit toys. Too many stars. Indiana gets it done, but it's going to be closer than people think. I don't think this is TCU, Georgia bad, but I still think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a good one.
Miami is still the most physical, dominant defense remaining in the playoffs. Well, obviously, there's only two teams remaining, and it's the championship game.
A bold take.
But anyways, the defense is problematic, and they can force a lot of issues for Francisco Mendoza. What I will say is that Miami needs big plays right out of the gate. They need tone-setting plays, explosive plays down the field. I don't think you can dink and dunk your way past this Indiana team. They're too efficient. They're too effective. We saw it from Miami in the second half against Ole Miss, right? Their offense started to stall out a little bit because they started to go underneath. They still don't trust Carson Beck to throw the football downfield, despite how well he did in that game. They went everything underneath, and they tried to attack him that way. Obviously, they got the win, but you're not going to be able to dink and dunk and death by 1,000 cuts your way past Indiana. You need explosive plays out of the gate. You need a interception on a screen pass and take that the length. You need something to put Indiana back on their heels. Because let me put it this way. If Indiana scores first and they get to dictate the pace of the game, I think it is a win and not a blowout. I don't think this is a blowout area. I think Oregon was woefully underprepared. I think they were young. I think they were a team that kind of squeaked their way into that position in the playoffs simply because they really didn't have to play anybody in the regular season. You know, they finally play a team with a pulse and, you know, minus Indiana. Obviously they played Indiana, but you can't just out efficient and out little things Indiana. You need explosive plays right out of the gate. So when I look at this game, can Carson Beck throw the football downfield? And can this pass rush for Miami get to Francisco Mendoza? Because he's been so in the speed in which he gets the football out of his hands is just amazing. And I remember seeing some of the highlights against Oregon, like a great offensive line, but his timing is immaculate. His progressions are immaculate. I understand he's a little bit on the older side, but I think some NFL organization is going to love having him simply because he does everything so efficiently in the right way. You got a comment going or something, or
no? I just
breaking
saw
news?
The Moroccan, we talked about it earlier, the Moroccan national team has announced in an official statement that they will take legal action against the African, the CAF, so like the CONCACAF of Africa and FIFA.
Wow.
The reason is Senegal's threat to withdraw as they believe it disadvantaged Brahim. Oh yeah, that was another thing I forgot to mention. The Senegal manager before that penalty was taken, he like told his team to get off the field because of it being rigged or something. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, no, they're trying to take legal action because it affected the PK.
Absolutely wild. Interesting. But no, man, I mean, I think Indiana will win it. One possession game, whether that be 3 points, 7 points, 6 points, whatever it may happen to be. This is not going to be a blowout the way that it was against Oregon. To be frank with you, if Oregon played Miami, I would have expected not maybe the same result, but I definitely think Miami would have won that game. I'm going to go with Indiana. I'm going to go with Indiana, but in a close ball game. If Miami is not able to get explosive plays early in the game.
I got Indiana by 10 points.
Hoosiers.
But yeah, no, I think you're right. I don't see Indiana losing this game. I think this is their game to lose. I think the only way they lose is like somehow like they bring the magic of all those Miami old players that are on the sidelines, like somehow transform and get on the field and play in their prime.
Some voodoo magic.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about curses earlier on the show, so I think that. But also, another question. I think this is the best question of the day. How many all glory to gods do you think Fernando Mendoza is going to say after he wins the national championship?
Ooh, at least 5 of them. I'm going to go with at least 5, man. That dude, it almost like he doesn't stop to breathe while he's talking, especially when he's all fired
real.
up. I'm
Fernando
like,
Mendoza's not real.
He's got to be a robot, man.
Like
seriously.
He posts his Heisman Trophy on LinkedIn. His only social media is LinkedIn. And then he like posted like, oh, happy to announce, like he announced like one of his portal decisions to Indiana on LinkedIn. So like I just don't think he's real. Like nice kid, but he's not real. Like you're telling me Fernando Mendoza is a real person, you're lying to me. You're lying to me. He's not a real
robot.
person.
He's the best robot out there though, man. My man can sling it.
Now, if Mendoza wins a Super Bowl, the amount of all glory to God is going to go way up.
All the glory to God.
All glory to God.
All of it.
I just want to give a shout out to it's a great team. Like he's gonna win it. Here's how it's gonna go. He's gonna be out there. Oh, glory to God! You know, Mario Cristobal, Miami. They're such a good team on the opposite side of the field. A kid growing up over here starts crying, bawling his eyes out, and he hears, "But the Hoosiers are flipping natty champs." That's what he's gonna do. It's what he's gonna do. We all know what he's gonna do, and he's not a real person. If someone were to come up to tell me at some point today, Fernando Mendoza, yeah, he's a real human being, I'd be like,
nah, I'm out of here.
It's not real.
Oh, let's move. Yeah, he's a unique one. Let's move on to question of the day here today.
Yeah, question of the day, but everybody knows the drill by now. If you don't know, you must be a new person to the show, so thank you for tuning in today. But Salt Athletic, an official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network. Use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off the #1 smell-proof cleat bag that works. You can put anything in there, not just cleats. Scan that QR code on your screen or visit saltathletic.com today. But question of the day, Nate kind of teased it earlier today. if your car is snowed in, do you even bother trying to go to work?
No.
No.
Well, I mean, it all depends, right? Like, I mean, what kind of car are we talking about here, right? Because the one that I have, the old Honda model, is not getting, that thing's a sled. All right. So like it's a sled that's got like wheels on the bottom of it. Now, if I'm pulling up in a Ford F-150, I am very jealous of people who have automatic starts on their vehicles. Right? That is the creme de la creme in my mind, in terms of driving in the winter. But the question was asked today. My car was 100% covered in snow, but like Ryan's talked about, my commute to this place where we do our show every morning is 5 feet. So that helps out quite a bit at the end of the day. So, I'm going to go with probably not, but again, it all considers. I think there should be snow days from businesses though. I don't think snow days should stop after school. That's what I'm saying.
John,
you know what I mean?
Can we have a snow day if it's too snowy out from work? John said no. We can't have it.
Yeah. All right. Well,
It was worth a shot.
But no, I'm just saying, you're just mixing a few snow days. But are you going to work?
See, the thing that's gonna get me is I really enjoy doing the show. So I actually enjoy waking up and doing the show with you, Nate. So I would say I'd probably still make it because I just like doing the show a lot.
Good boy.
And it doesn't feel like work. We're just sitting here talking ball like if we were at a bar. So again, no difference, no different at all. So no, I probably would make it. I probably would be later than normal. Probably like I was the other day where I made it here at like 8:20 because I was driving no faster than 30 down the road here. So no, I'd probably still make it just because I like doing. If I did a job that I did not like, I probably would say no. I'd probably be like, yeah, no. But I enjoy being here, so I would say yes.
Hey, man, shout out our man Ryan, but blasting his way through the snow to be able to bring us inside the game every single morning. That'll wrap up our show here today. We appreciate all you guys dropping by, as always, here on Inside the Game. Again, make sure you check us out, National Soccer Network, on social media. Woo! From what I know, our viewing audience continues to get bigger and bigger, so that's thanks in large part to what you guys do. So continue to come back, continue to lock into the conversations, and let us know if you want to talk about something. Yeah, one more thing, Ryan. I thought you were winding up to say something there.
Oh, no. I was just saying, been posting some shorter form content videos on our segments on the National Soccer Network on YouTube and the NSN Inside the Game YouTube page, and they've been doing pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. We might have to read some comments tomorrow about why I did the short form video, 8-minute video, why European fans hate American soccer. We've gained a comment since I last looked earlier in the show. So, yeah, we are gonna have to. Some of them are kind of funny, so we're gonna have to read some for you tomorrow. But no. Oh, also the American. What American athlete would make the best soccer player? A couple people. Yeah. Some people said they wanted to see Russell Westbrook out there, and some people said LeBron James is too slow to even play soccer. So I think it's some interesting mailbags for tomorrow for sure.
Interesting. That's coming up tomorrow in episode 211. But for today, this has been episode 210 on Inside the Game.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wenger bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This